Hi everyone, it's Dot, and today I'm cooking something that you've never seen me cook before on this channel, and there's a reason why. I'm cooking fish in my low-carb kitchen. All right, full disclosure, I am not a fish person, and that may shock you. It shouldn't, because you've never seen me cook fish on this channel. And there's a reason why. I have had an aversion to fish for most of my for nearly all of my adult life, and certainly for all of my childhood. My husband finally started having me try fish in the last couple of years, and it's okay, but we found a restaurant that is primarily fish, and so we tried there one night and I actually enjoyed it. So maybe my taste buds have shifted a little bit. So today I am cooking a fish for dinner, and it's from my Gordon Ramsay cookbook, Home Cooking, and I absolutely love this cookbook. I've been testing recipes left and right, and the nice thing is the fish recipes are pretty simple, and this one is actually a pretty quick recipe, so I absolutely love it. I'm using cod for this recipe, so it's the most unoffensive, bland, I guess you can say, or not very mild tasting, more so than bland fish, than say a salmon. Salmon is like the one I'm trying to work my way up to, if you will. But I'm going to be using a cod for this recipe, and it's a cod with tomato and herb salsa. So the salsa is quite tasty, I have to say. You do cook the salsa before you serve it with the fish. So with that, let me give you an idea of what's in the recipe. I have cherry tomatoes, and I'm using an assortment of cherry tomatoes, red, yellow, and also these big suckers that I absolutely love. I'm using Clamato olives, sea salt, pepper. I'm also using basil and cilantro, and I'm going to be using juice from half of a lemon. This is where I'm deviating from the recipe a little bit. It calls for a full lemon. I'm only going to use half again because I'm trying to cut the carbs down. Otherwise, the recipe is pretty much nearly the same. And then I'm using cod as my primary fish. So with that, let's go ahead and start preparing everything. All right, I've already went ahead and cut up my cherry tomatoes. You just want to cut them in half. Now, the recipe does call for just regular standard, the typical red cherry tomatoes. I like to use the different colors because it gives a different flavor throughout the dish rather than just using one type of tomato. And it's about 1 cup, or about 149 grams. So I kept to that measurement. So, and as far as trying to determine the carb count, I use the USDA's website for cherry tomato, and they don't make any distinction between the different types of tomatoes. So until I can find otherwise, I use them. They're my source, and so this is sort of my standard go-to for cherry tomatoes. So anyway, I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to get my basil ready. I'm using some pretty big leaves, and you just want a handful. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take them and roll them up tightly. And you don't want to just chop, simply because it's a pretty delicate herb. So you're just going to basically cut it. I'm just cutting ribbons, just simply cutting it. And by folding it, you're just preserving the leaf a little better than you normally would. I'm going to reserve a small portion that's just going to go on top of the fish. The rest is going to go in with the salsa. And then I've got here some cilantro. And what I'm going to do is just, some of them, I don't mind using the stems, quite frankly. Although when it's the really thick stem that you got here, I don't use them. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull them apart. And I'm going to do essentially the same thing here. Try to roll them up, take off the thinner stems, but leave the larger stems off to the side. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold these together. It's sort of the same thing. I'm folding the leaves. I'm just sort of more organizing them so they're all in one little spot for me to just do one pass with the knife. Then we've got the lemon. Now, what's important with the lemon, and I think I may have shown this on other videos, is that it's pretty firm, and what you want to do is just take it in your palm and press it and just roll it back and forth, because what you want to do is you want to make sure the lemon, it sort of helps loosen it up so it gets really juicy and you get as much juice out of it as possible. I'm only going to use half for this particular dish, but I use lemon an awful lot, so the other half is not going to go to waste in this household. So with that, cut it in half, and it's going to be ready to go with this dish. So what we're going to do now is start on the salsa on the stovetop. All right, I'm cooking this with olive oil, so I'm going to go ahead and add, the oil is hot enough. Ooh, nice sizzle. I'm adding my tomatoes. I'm going to add a couple of pinches of sea salt to my tomatoes. And I'm also going to add a little bit of pepper to it as well. Basically cook these down for about a minute or two. All right, my tomatoes, if you look at them, have pretty much started cooking down. You can see them getting all wrinkly and everything. I'm going to go ahead and add the olives. And then the next thing I'm going to add is my seasoning, my basil and cilantro. And once my herbs are pretty much wilted, which is going to be in seconds, take this off heat and go ahead and let the flavors just sort of meld. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead. I just have some sea salt. I'm just going to salt my fish. You don't want to fear the salt because a lot of it does come off in the cooking process. Now, this particular one doesn't have skin, but if it did have skin, one of the recommendations from Gordon Ramsay is that you would score the skin basically to allow more flavor to get into the fish. This is pretty much a naked fish. There's no skin on it. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper to my fish too, since I like pepper. The recipe does call for that. And now that my oil is hot enough, I'm going to go ahead and add my fish. I'm going to salt it when this is the side that's going to go down, and I'm going to salt and season with salt and pepper the other side once it's in here. That's what I want to hear. What I'm going to do is cook it on this side for about 2 to 3 minutes. You want a nice golden crust, so to speak, on the bottom side. And what you're going to see, the color start changing about 2/3 of the way up the fish, and that's when it's time to flip it. Okay, what I've noticed is it's about 2/3 of the way up. It's definitely turning white, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it. Hopefully I have it browned enough. There's a brown color to it. They are falling apart, that's for sure. Okay, the fish is finishing up. I have my lemon here. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my salsa, my cooked salsa, and stir it up. All right, the fish is done. It started really flaking apart, so it's really, really tender, which I'm thinking is a good thing. You really just, this dish is for 2 people. There are 3 fillets on there. My husband, he's 6'5", and he loves fish, so he has 2. So this is my little cut. You just divide the salsa up evenly. You just serve the fish on top. So with that, I'm not dreading this, but you know, I'm hoping I did a good job with this, since I'm not the pro when it comes to fish. So I'm going to get a little bit of the salsa on there. It does just fall apart and flake apart. So my husband's convincing me that that actually is a very good thing. So here we go. Bottoms up. That's actually really good. I'm really happy. I'm proud of myself. I cooked fish. Yay. Wow, the salsa is really just great. And the fish isn't obtrusive. It has a nice texture to it. It's very soft and delicate. I thought I'd be a little bit freaked out by the texture. It's actually quite nice, and I love the taste with the salsa. This is just incredible. I'm loving this, and I hope you give this a try. I'll have the recipe below, and I'm just jamming on this Gordon Ramsay book. I'm telling you, I'm making recipes left and right, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, that's it. I love going through cookbooks and just zipping through all the recipes, especially if they're great. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you give it a try. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the type of cooking I do here. And if you see the little bell below in the right-hand corner, click that, and then you'll be notified when my videos come out. And with that, I will see you next time. And I'm going to enjoy me some fish.